Do you think more megapixels mean better photos, or that closing background apps saves battery life? We've all heard these tech sayings before, but are they actually true? In this video we're diving deep into the world of tech myths, separating fact from fiction, and giving you the knowledge to navigate the tech world with confidence. Stick around to the end to learn about the biggest tech myths. Alright, let's talk megapixels. It's easy to think that more megapixels automatically equals better photos. After all, more megapixels mean more detail, right? Well, it's not that simple. You see, image quality is a delicate dance between the sensor size, lens quality, and yes, megapixels. Think of it like this. Imagine your camera sensor is a window. Megapixels are like the number of tiny squares of glass in that window. More squares mean you can see more detail, but only if each square is big enough to let in enough light. A camera with a small sensor and a ton of megapixels is like having a window with tons of tiny glass squares. Each square doesn't let in much light, so the overall image can be noisy, especially in low light. On the other hand, a camera with fewer megapixels but a larger sensor is like having a window with fewer but larger glass squares. Each square lets in more light, which results in a brighter, clearer image even if it doesn't have as many pixels. So, the next time you're shopping for a camera or phone based solely on megapixel count, remember, it's not the whole picture. Let's talk about a myth that just refuses to die: closing background apps to save battery life. I get it, it seems logical. Those apps are running in the background using up your precious battery. But in reality, it's not that straightforward. Modern smartphones, especially those running iOS or Android, are incredibly smart at managing apps and their power consumption. When an app is minimized or not actively being used, it's typically put into a low power state, kind of like a light nap. Constantly closing apps can actually have the opposite effect. When you close an app completely, your phone has to start it up from scratch the next time you need it. That process uses up more power than simply waking it up from its low power state. So, unless an app is acting up or you're not planning on using it again soon, there's really no need to be a background app assassin. Let your phone do its thing. Your battery life will thank you for it. Here's one you've probably heard from your parents. You need to fully drain your phone's battery before recharging it. This myth comes from older battery technology like nickel-cadmium batteries. Those batteries suffered from something called memory effect, where they would remember a lower capacity if they weren't fully discharged. However, modern smartphones use lithium-ion batteries, and they are a completely different beast. Lithium-ion batteries don't suffer from the memory effect. In fact, constantly draining your battery to 0% can actually shorten its lifespan. Think of it like this. Every time you charge and discharge your phone's battery, it goes through a cycle. Lithium-ion batteries have a limited number of charge cycles before their capacity starts to degrade. So, by constantly draining your battery completely, you're essentially using up those precious cycles faster. The best way to keep your smartphone battery healthy is to avoid extremes. Don't constantly drain it to 0%, and don't keep it at 100% for extended periods either. Instead, top it off whenever you get a chance, even if it's just for a few minutes. Private browsing, incognito mode, whatever you call it, the name sounds reassuring, doesn't it? But when it comes to online privacy, it's important to understand what private browsing actually does, and more importantly, what it doesn't do. Private browsing is like using a public computer at a library. It doesn't save your browsing history, cookies, or site data on that specific device. So, if you're worried about someone snooping on your browsing history on that particular phone or computer, then yes, private browsing can help. However, it's not a magic cloak of anonymity. Your internet service provider, ISP, can still see your internet activity, even in private browsing mode. Websites you visit can still track your IP address and potentially even your location. And if you're logged into any accounts, like your Google or social media accounts, those sites will still know it's you. Private browsing is a useful tool for certain situations, like when you're using a public computer or don't want to leave a trace of your browsing on a shared device. But it's not a foolproof method for complete online anonymity. We live in a world obsessed with resolution. 4K, 8K, 12K. Higher numbers must be better, right? Well, when it comes to displays, resolution is just one piece of the puzzle. Resolution refers to the number of pixels a display has. More pixels mean sharper images and text. But there's more to a great viewing experience than just cramming in as many pixels as possible. Factors like panel type, brightness, contrast ratio, and color accuracy all play a crucial role. For example, an OLED display with lower resolution can still look significantly better than an LCD display with higher resolution. OLED displays are known for their deep blacks, vibrant colors, and incredible contrast, while LCDs can sometimes look washed out in comparison. So the next time you're shopping for a new TV, monitor, or smartphone, don't just fixate on the resolution. Consider the bigger picture, literally. Let's talk about RAM, that mysterious component that everyone seems to want more of. RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and it acts as your device's short-term memory. It stores data that your device needs to access quickly, like the apps you're currently using, the files you're working on, and the websites you're browsing. While RAM is essential for a smooth and responsive experience, it's not the only factor determining your device's speed. Think of it like a workshop. RAM is like the size of your workbench. A bigger workbench gives you more space to work on multiple projects simultaneously. But the speed at which you complete those projects also depends on the tools you're using. In the world of computers and smartphones, those tools are your processor, CPU, graphics card, GPU, and storage speed. A powerful processor can crunch through tasks faster, a capable graphics card renders visuals smoothly, and a fast storage drive loads files quickly. So, while more RAM can undoubtedly improve multitasking and overall performance, especially if you're a power user who juggles multiple demanding applications, it's not a magic bullet. Let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the phone plugged in next to your bed. Is it bad to leave your phone charging overnight? The short answer is no, it's not inherently bad. Remember those lithium-ion batteries we talked about earlier? They're pretty smart. Once your phone reaches 100% charge, it stops drawing power from the charger even if it's still plugged in. Your phone is essentially just sipping tiny amounts of power to keep the battery topped off at 100%. However, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, constantly keeping your battery at 100% for extended periods can contribute to faster degradation in the long run. It's kind of like keeping a rubber band stretched out for too long, it loses its elasticity over time. Second, while modern phones are designed to handle overnight charging, using a low-quality charger or a charger that's not compatible with your device can generate excess heat, which can potentially damage your battery over time. So, if you're concerned about battery health, the best practice is to avoid extreme charging habits. Don't constantly drain your battery to 0%, and don't keep it at 100% for extended periods. For years there's been a persistent myth that Macs are immune to viruses. While it's true that Macs have historically been less targeted by malware compared to Windows PCs, the idea that they are completely invincible is simply not true. The reason for this misconception stems from a couple of factors. First, Apple has implemented robust security measures into macOS, making it more difficult for malware to infiltrate the system. Second, Windows' larger market share has made it a more attractive target for cybercriminals. However, as Macs have gained popularity in recent years, they have increasingly become targets for malware attacks. Cybercriminals are always on the lookout for new vulnerabilities to exploit, and Macs are not exempt. Just like any other computer, Macs are vulnerable to various types of malware, including viruses, trojans, ransomware, and spyware. 5G, the latest generation of cellular technology, has been surrounded by controversy and misinformation since its inception. One of the most persistent myths is that 5G radiation is harmful to human health. Let's set the record straight. There is no scientific evidence to support the claim that 5G radiation causes health problems. 5G, like previous generations of cellular technology, uses radio waves to transmit data. These radio waves are non-ionizing, which means they don't have enough energy to break chemical bonds or damage DNA. The amount of radio frequency radiation emitted by 5G devices is well within the safety limits set by international organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO. These limits are based on extensive scientific research and are designed to protect human health. Of course, it's always wise to stay informed about the latest scientific research and to follow any safety guidelines provided by reputable organizations. But when it comes to 5G and health concerns, you can rest assured that the technology is safe. We've already talked about the limitations of private browsing, but it's worth diving a little deeper into what it can't protect you from. Incognito mode is designed to keep your local browsing history private, meaning it won't save your browsing history, cookies, or site data on that particular device. However, it's important to remember that your online activity is still visible to other parties. Your internet service provider, ISP, can still see every website you visit, even in incognito mode. Think of it like using a private phone booth in a public square. You might be whispering, but everyone around you can still see that you're making a call. Websites you visit can also still track your IP address, which can reveal your approximate location. And if you're logged into any accounts, like your Google or social media accounts, those companies will still know it's you, regardless of your browser's privacy mode. Incognito mode is a useful tool for specific situations, but it's not a foolproof method for achieving complete online anonymity. For that, you'll need to explore more advanced privacy-enhancing tools and techniques. In the ever-evolving world of technology, it's easy to get caught up in myths and misinformation. But as we've learned today, it's crucial to understand the technology we use every day. Remember, knowledge is power. By questioning what we hear, doing our research, and relying on credible sources, we can make informed decisions about the technology we embrace. So the next time you come across a tech myth, don't just accept it at face value. Dig a little deeper, ask questions, and separate fact from fiction.